Greetings, family. So I'm on today because I saw something that was a little disturbing, and I wanted to come on just to make sure that I haven't been presenting the continent through rose colored glasses. Because of my upbringing, uh, and I'm not going to say I grew up in the roughest areas, but I've been exposed to some things, okay? I grew up in New York City. I grew up in Brooklyn. And what kind of saved me from that era of gun violence, robberies, was I ran track. I was an athlete. And so that kind of took me out of my community to the point where my nickname was Colgate in my neighborhood, right? And that's because, I ran track and I was at Colgate's women's games and I was at Penn Relays and I traveled to Nebraska. Like I went different places, even ran for my high school team. So it was a big deal to the point where like I almost had a scholarship for college, but I decided going into college that I didn't want to be committed and I didn't want to run anymore. Um, but as an adult, I trained, with a couple of teams. So I took that longer. I even trained as like a track official. And we'll get into that because I'll do a video on all the things I've done before. But my point is that because of the way I was raised and what I was exposed to, a lot of my male friends were hustlers. They were corner boys, but I knew them just as people I went to school with, people I grew up with, people whose families I knew. Uh, so it wasn't a big deal to me. So I came with a certain type of mentality. Like I know when somebody trying to get slick, I've almost been robbed on the train and I was ready to blast off on the train. And y'all got to see a little bit of that when I was in Sierra Leone and I was talking about the cab driver. Like I was on high alert because I've been exposed to some things, that my son hasn't been. So nevertheless, there a few things happen on the continent that weren't major to me, but now I think about it and I'm like, I'd be doing you a disservice if I don't tell you about these things, okay? So one of those things was when I was in Ghana, because Ghana was my first stop. When I was in Ghana, my driver would always tell us when we got to certain areas, like high traffic areas, areas where there were a lot of motorcycles or bikes or people gathered on corners, he would always say, roll the windows up. And it didn't even click. I was just like, he probably just like roll the windows up so nobody don't stick their hand in the car. Like in my mind, that was logical because in crowded areas, things happen, you know. Um, but he would warn us because we don't know those areas. So you need someone with you who's going to tell you. But he sure did. When we were in Ghana, and we stayed at Sister Ya, and Sister Ya is a little ways away from the main city area. She's close, but it's still outside of like the city area, the Sankofa Repat house. So we'd have to drive into certain areas and he would tell us, like, roll up your windows. Like, they have some boys over here that will put their can and snatch your car. Or he would tell me especially to bring my phone in because if we moving quick through an area, I'm trying to get footage to show you all, and I got my phone outside the window. He's like, bring your phone in. I'm like, you're right, because somebody could go by on a motorcycle, snatch it, lean out of another car, snatch it. And what you going to do when it's crowded and you can't even move in the traffic? So he did give us warning, and that's when you have to have reliable people with you because we don't know those areas, and we still kind of tourists when we come to the continent. We're so excited about being there. So I remember that in Ghana. Um, Even going into like areas where there's a lot of people, folks are not really big on personal space. So everybody's kind of close together, pushing, moving, whatever. And I remember just bringing my bag close to me or putting my bag in front of me. But see, in my mind, that's what people do, but that may not be what you do. So I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you to be conscious of that. There's a lot of people on a continent. And I don't know if we're used to being around that many people, you know? So the other thing was, trying to think, there was something else. Oh, when you're getting on the vans, whether it's the Gele Gele, the Tro, whatever continent you're in, get your change. Because a lot of times in Ghana, I found especially, they tried to be slick. They thought if you didn't know the money, you wouldn't know that they owed you change, or they would try to hold on to your money, hoping you'd forget to ask for your change. I had that happen in Gambia too, to the point where when I was getting off, he still had not given me my change. And I put my hand in the door like, you going to give me my change? Because my thing is, this van won't go nowhere if I don't get my change. Now, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's the principle. Like, don't try to get over on me and don't try to treat me like I'm stupid. Because if I want to give you a tip, then I will give you a tip. But don't hustle me. Like, that I have a problem with. So I get it. People trying to make money, everybody trying to get their hustle on. But let me give it from the kindness of my heart. Don't make me feel like you backing me into a corner, okay? All right. So that was two situations. Then I told you guys we ate with some police officers in Gambia. They were so sweet. They told us come eat. So one of the officers, he kept, kind of reaching out to me. How you doing? You need to come visit my village, da da da, and I didn't really follow up with him because I was busy. I was moving around. So when he finally realized I was leaving, he sent me a message like, if I'm going to, dash him, if I'm going to give him a little gift. I thought that was interesting because my thing was, so you was keeping in touch all this time to see if I would give you some money when I was leaving. Were you being genuine from the start? So there's just some people, they vibe don't rub me the right way, and I just won't really mess with them. So with him, even though he was reaching out, I was polite, texting back, thank you for asking, but I'm busy today. I didn't meet up with him. I didn't want to have a drink with him. Like, it was nothing like that. He was young anyway. Y'all know how I don't really get down with the young people. Some young people, we could be cool, but I always have to kind of straighten them out about where we stand. And I should say young men, because that's who the issue is with. So, yeah, in the end, it was like, so you got some money for me? You're going to hit me off? Same thing with some of the drivers, right? When I was leaving, even though when I left them, I gave them a nice little lump sum. When I was leaving the continent to come back to the States, I was getting messages like, oh, you leaving? It's Christmas. You're going to send me a gift. And I'm like, I don't buy men gifts. Okay. I got one son. That's it. And he don't get Christmas gifts. So, I'm not buying no strangers. Okay. All right. So that was another situation. People asking for things, having an ulterior motive, but you don't know that. You just be polite. It's to the end you realize who you're really dealing with. Right. Okay. So then we got to, now all these little things are clicking in my head that I just kind of blew off that I probably should have shared with you all. It just didn't seem serious at the time, but be conscious because you may not be aware. To me, I'll handle people on the spot. Like, if I see you doing something I don't like, I'm not going to hold on to it for 2-3 days and be angry about it. I'm going to put you on blast in a moment. Like, yo, that was foul. That was trifling. I don't appreciate it. And I received it this way. Did you mean it this way? Like, I'm going to talk about it in a moment, So another situation we had, a cab driver in Sierra Leone, a young brother, right? We were communicating back and forth. The day I was leaving, he was like, yeah, the guy that I got my vehicle from is going to be taking the vehicle back. And I'm like, oh, well, if you sound like you knew he was going to be taking the vehicle back, I hope you have a plan B, So when I got back to the States, he's not to States. I moved to the next country. I was in Gambia. He's texting me, oh, yeah, he took the vehicle back. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. And then I came up with a list of things that maybe you could do. Sell water, sell clothes, hook up with somebody else, let your family members know you need assistance, Then he came back with, oh, it's been 2-3 days. I'm going to have to sell my phone. And I'm like, well, just do what you got to do. Like, you're a man, right? So then he texted me, oh, I'm on another phone. Okay, you said you sold your phone, so why you still texting me, right? Then it was like, oh, I'm hungry. And I'm like, listen, see, now you're doing too much. I told you when I come back to the continent in June, I would like to do business with you. Okay. Not going to send you money. That's not going to happen. Okay. So after a while, I just kind of had to block him. When I feel like I can deal with him, and I'm back on the ground on the continent, then I will reach out to him. Like I said, to do business. But don't come at me asking me for money like I'm gonna take care of you, because I don't get down like that. I'm not really sure what I know what the impression is. The impression is you're American, you got money. They don't know some of us are living, as we say, pocket to mouth, hand to foot type thing, right? Check to check. They don't realize that that's what's happening here, and that we come into the continent for a better life. We trying to stretch our dollars. Does that mean stretching your dollar means you rich? No, it means I'm trying to stretch my dollar so I could survive. I'm leaving a place that's trying to take me under. That's how I feel about it. So I had to let him know, I just blocked him because I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I already told you what the situation was. So I just blocked him. That was one situation. So then we went to an office, right? Y'all know I did a video on all the paperwork you should take with you, right? Your TSA pre-check papers, your ancestry papers if you have them, your medical papers, your COVID stuff, your clearances, okay? So I had all of that in a folder. We went to an office. Now I know I left the folder on the corner of the desk in this man's office, okay? So the day I was leaving to get on the plane to go from Sierra Leone to Gambia, I couldn't find those papers and I was looking for them. Luckily, I had my passport, I had our shot cards. That's all I really needed, and my new COVID results. But I wanted my paperwork, right? So I call the brother, I call the office. I'm like, listen, I believe I left, I can see it. Because y'all know when I left my glasses, I can see where I left the things. I generally keep track of my stuff. I called. It was like, no, he's not in. So I'm like, well, let me run over there before I go get on the plane. And I had enough time. So we went that way. And it was like, no. Somebody went in the office. They said they didn't see him. They called him. He said, no, you didn't leave him here. Now, where else are my papers? Unless someone came in my hotel room and took the papers. Somebody took those papers, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, this would be perfect because my papers had COVID tests from the two countries, right? I'm going to stop this for a second. All right, y'all. So I'm doing laundry right now. Of course, I got to multitask. I have to make sure that the machine is not too loud. Okay, so that was at the office. I said that situation, and then my hotel room, which we wasn't missing nothing else from the room, so I believe they was left there. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I get it. So you figure I'm gonna hold on to these papers. So if I need to have somebody have a fake COVID test for somewhere, I can copy this paperwork. Or if I need somebody that needs a TSA pre-check, I can use this number. But see, what they don't know is, I already called in a pre-TSA and had them give me a new number. So if they come through with that number, they will get in trouble. Okay, so we're talking about the ministry's office, right? Or maybe I was supposed to say a name. Anyway, it was between the hotel and the office. We're going to move on from there. Okay, so after I left that office, I went to get my shoe repaired. Y'all remember I did that video on what shoes to wear to the continent, right? So, of course, I had my tote bag, and if I would have had those papers, they would have been on my shoulder in that bag. And I sat in the middle of stones, so there would have been no reason for me to put the bag down or to take the papers out because my shoes were on my feet. I took them off, and a young brother repaired my shoes. So that's how I know that was the situation there. So be careful with your documents, keep them close, right? Don't leave them because, people may take that as an opportunity to counterfeit the papers, duplicate your paperwork. So little things like that. Also, when I was in Sierra Leone, sister came to my residence, and there was a young man with her, and we had all went upstairs to the patio, and I noticed that the younger man wasn't with us. So I turned to him on, and I was like, "Did you lock the door?" And he was like, "Oh." I said, "Nah," because my thing is I don't know him. Sure enough, when I went back to the room, when we walked out the room, he was standing by where the closets were, right? When I came back real quick, when I noticed that he was in there alone, he was standing right by the chair where our bags were. Come on. So, that didn't rub me right. That was suspect to me, right? So I said, "You can come out, and I locked the door." So to me now, I got to keep an eye on this individual because I don't really know him. I don't know what that was about. It just was suspect to me. And then when I came in and saw him standing there, he had this look on his face like, oops. You know when somebody looked like they got caught doing something or was about to do something? Okay, so now I'm keeping an eye on you. Now, you're supposed to be a trusted person because these other individuals trust you, so I'm watching you. Then we had another situation where I'm paying a driver who decided to go his own route, right? Mind you, this was a driver that he supposedly sent. Same individual. Um, this driver, we're supposed to be meeting them at the beach. This driver decides he gonna go where he wanna go. When I'm telling him, if this is where they said to meet, why don't we wait here? No, he does his own thing. He goes to the end. He comes back, whatever. So now he's charging me. And as he's charging me, I'm not beefing because it's not a lot of money, but it's the principle once again. And what he did was he charged me more than he should have. Let's say it was 30. He was at like 100. And the same young brother was standing there, had a little conversation with him, and didn't say anything. Okay, so we crossed the street and we talked to the people who were following us to this location. They tell us they paid another price, and I look at the young brother like, really? And now he's looking like, oops. So I don't know if he did a little deal with him and he got a little cut from that. I don't know, but from that, I didn't want nothing else to do with him. Because my thing is, if you get me once, you're not gonna get me a second time. So for the whole rest of the trip, he kept trying to, try to say hello to me or try to do little things for me. I didn't want nothing to do with him. I was like, hi and bye. That was it. I don't need you to do nothing for me. I don't need you to hold nothing for me. I'm cool. And oh, prior to that, I forgot. In between that situation, so it was a situation at the hotel. When he left one time, he came to run an errand with us. He left us, and I gave him a couple of dollars for his pocket for hanging out with us. But then I get a call from the sister like, "Oh, did you give him a little something?" And I was like, "Yes, I did." And I let it go. But in my mind, again, I'm like, he done went back and told these people I didn't give him nothing. Either he was trying to get them to give him something, or he thought they was going to get me to give him more. Again, don't be slick. So that was 3 situations with this person that I was like, and he was young, he was a kid. But it's the principle. And I get it. I get it that a lot of these children or young people are coming from the generation, they are babies of the war, right? So they come from that trying to get as much as they can out of a person or hustle type mentality. Even spies, even like agents, they looking for what they can see or do. And so you got to really be paying attention to that, you know. The other thing was, let me see, I made a list because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget nothing. Let's talk about the young boys, right? And like, y'all notice I keep saying, yeah, they try to get at you. So I had a few situations, a few encounters that brief because I like nip stuff in the bud. But there was, 1 or 2 that I was like, yeah, we could do business. So in the process of us discussing business, they decide to proclaim how much they like me, right? And that's cool. I get it. I'm different. You're not used to a woman who acts this way or who's doing business this way. I get it. In the States, it's something we take for granted, right? Because a lot of us are like me, right? I don't know that a lot of us are like me because I'm a little out there sometimes, but you know what I mean. The general sense of we talk a certain way, we carry ourselves a certain way. So I get it how that could be attractive to someone who's not familiar with this. But when I tell you they persistent, but they persistent for a lot of different reasons, right? They persistent because they looking for a sugar mama. They persistent because they might be looking for somebody to teach them things they've never experienced. Uh, because they see you as a way out, you know? So I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a good reason for you to get involved with somebody when you know that they coming at you from a state of vulnerability. I think it's a way that people manipulate folks, um, that it puts you in a superior position. Um, I just think you got to put a lot of thought into it if you go down that road, something that I'm just really not interested in doing. I don't want to put no thought into it. I don't want to put no thought into you almost the same age as my child type thing. Like there's nothing to think about. So I try to let them down gently. I don't want to hurt no feelings. I don't want nobody devastated. Just know it's not going to happen. But they persistent. When I tell you, phone calls, doing stuff for you, treating you well. And my thing is like, okay, thank you, but I deserve this. So I'm not really impressed by you going over the deep end, especially when I already said no. Like respect the decision, respect my thoughts on the process and just my own moral code. So you ladies, single ladies, be careful with that because, I know a lot of us are coming from the States and even the UK, the diaspora, and maybe they would treat you in a way that you haven't been treated in a long time. But see, I've been treated well, so I know the difference between someone coming at you out of desperation and needing you. Like I don't want to be needed in that way. I would like to know that my partner it's reciprocated. It's a mutual attraction. It's a mutual feeling. I don't like when someone pinpoints me and decides you're gonna be the one. Like you don't do that. What happened to friendship and dating so yeah, that's not what I was there for. I was there for business. But ladies, watch out for that because you could get caught up. I see how people can get caught up. I do. And you can get caught up. So that was one situation. Let's see. I also have, oh, when you leave the continent or you leave a country and you ask somebody to check out information for you might think you have somebody on the ground who's a native who will know things that you don't know, which is a good thing. Make sure it's someone trustworthy because I've even made a couple of calls. I've had people check out things for me. And mind you, what they don't know is that I plan to compensate them for their time and transportation, gas that they might have used to run around for me. They don't know that, right? And they're not asking for anything. But when they go check out things for you, they might come back to you with prices that you're like, I wouldn't pay that in the States. Like you're supposed to be looking for the hookup. Use your connections and find me what I need. So you got to watch out for that. Don't be sending people your money. Like I had somebody looking into something for me and he comes back with pictures of some, piece of equipment that's not in the best condition telling me that it's like 3,000 when I'm like, I wouldn't pay 1,000 for that in the States. So don't come back to me with stuff that is really about you trying to line your pocket or you trying to hook somebody else up at my expense, right? Be careful with that. Um, the other thing is, and I can't say it enough, do not send your money. Do not send your money because you don't know where your money is going. You have no guarantees. If it's somebody you can trust, that's a different story. We're not talking about those folks. We're talking about people that you really don't know that well, but you're trying to build relationships with. You might want to start off, if you're going to do that, in small increments. See that they do what you've asked them to do a little bit at a time. I personally don't plan to send nobody my money when I'm on a continent and I'm giving somebody something and I'm getting confirmation and verification or I'm right there with them that these things are being done. That's how I'm going to proceed. Okay. Um, Last and not least, let's not forget about little things that you might miss. I don't know if y'all remember when I was coming from, when I missed my plane, I was going to Kumasi to Ghana. Remember, I took that VIP bus. Okay, so there was an individual, there's a bunch of people at the bus station, right? And the guy snatched the bag from Amon and he was proceeding to the bus. He didn't know where we were going. And you didn't know whether he was an employee or just some man on the street. I told Amon, snatch the bag back. So Amon grabbed it back, like I got it, but Amon didn't know that you'll have people come and force their assistance on you without you asking. And then they expect you to pay them. So his thing was he was going to take this bag, take it to the bus, load it on, and then turn around and ask for money. But he don't work at the bus station. He just some man that hangs out at the bus station. So you will find people doing that, right? Even at the airport, they will come and be like, oh, let me take your bags. And so you might think it's a cab driver or somebody that worked for the airport. So they're not necessarily running away with your bag, but they're taking your bag without asking you, do you need help? And can I help you for a small fee? They're not going to say that. They're just going to do it. And then they're going to look at you like you owe me something. Just like I told you, there was a brother who was mute. When we were leaving Gambia, he was instructed by someone at the airport to direct us to the new airport. So he actually worked at the airport. But if that was his job, he shouldn't have been expecting the tip, right? But I don't think it was his job. I think he was like the maintenance guy. Well, we call him maintenance mechanic in the States. I think he was like a handyman or something. And he was doing this as not part of his job duties. And so he was looking like, okay, I walked, mind you, he didn't carry a bag. He just walked in front of us to the other part of the airport, which is about 300 yards, maybe like a quarter mile or something like that. And he turned around and was like, he's expecting a tip for his services, right? So, I had American dollar on me, so I gave it to him. That's all I had on me because, again, I wasn't trying to change money and all that yet. So those are just the things I wanted to go over. Hold on to your documentation, make copies of your documentation, keep your personal belongings close to you, right? You're going in a crowded area and you got a knapsack on. Either have one of those theft-proof bags that people use, the theft-proof wallet, so people can't copy your documents, or put your bag in front of you and hold it close. And even with that, right? We was with a sister who lives in the Gambia. That's when we went to the soccer match in the village and we was hanging out and I was all excited about the pigs. Okay, so coming home that night, it was dark and we couldn't get a van. And when you at the bus station, everybody's like all crunched up next to each other trying to get on the van. And then when no more people can fit, that's when people back off. So, in the middle of that at night, perfect time for pickpockets. So we finally decided to leave that area because one sister said to one of the kids that was with us, you need to turn your back around. There's some dangerous people. She could have been down with them. I don't know. Like, I'm wondering how you know about her bag if you ain't clocking the bag, right? I'm like that. So we just decided it was so crowded, too many people. We just going to go out to the main street and try to catch a van coming in another direction. So we go out to the main street. We can't find nothing. We wait and we trying to get a taxi. Now there's like 6 of us, so we're going to need 2 taxis, right? So, so the sister who lives in the Gambia decides that she's going to try to secure a van and bring it to us so all of us could get on it. So she walks off. Her bag was in front of her. So apparently when we was all in the crowd, somebody got her phone from the front of her. But because all those people around you, somebody could stick their hand, so you got to be really careful, really conscious. And I forgot about that, I felt bad that happened to her. And I remember treating her to dinner that night when we got back to the main area by turntable. I went to get some food and I treated her to some food, some chicken and noodles or something like that. But I guess because it didn't happen to me directly, it kind of slipped my mind. Or I also was thinking like these things happen. Like we know this stuff happens. I don't know where y'all live, but like I said, I grew up in the hood, not necessarily the hood, but it wasn't that far from it. It was a lot of people with that hood mentality. I remember once being like 14, and this boy, older boy in the neighborhood, wanted to date me, and I didn't really pay him any attention because he was older than me. And he probably was 19. I was like 14. And he kept asking, and he was persistent, and I just didn't really want to be bothered. Next thing I know, my house gets robbed. My mother's house got robbed. Like, he stole jewelry. He took like my baby jewelry that my dad had bought for me from Vietnam and from the Caribbean, stuff he was saving for me. And all I could remember was my mother being heartbroken. Heartbroken. She was like, it took, things that she had worked so hard. And the lesson I got from that was that I will never be connected to nothing like that. I will never be connected to nothing superficial. Y'all see me all the time. I have on accessories, crafty stuff, things people made, because I remember how hurt she was when her gold and her diamonds and all of that was taken. And so I never attached to jewelry and stuff like that. But I always felt bad, like that was my fault. Should I have just gone out with him? And like, how's somebody gonna force you to do something you don't want to do? But so I've been robbed before. Like, it didn't that happened to my household, to my mom. So then you're thinking, is somebody gonna come in again when we're sleeping? Or do we have to worry about this all the time? Who else is involved? Then you're looking at people strange on the street because you're wondering who knew and who knows, and they not doing nothing about it. It's a strange situation. You just feel so violated when someone takes something from you that doesn't belong to them you know so I just wanted to share that, like, be aware. So I'm just going to run through it again. Keep your documents close, make copies, have secure bags. Don't have bags that you could just stick your hand into. You want to even maybe want to put the little luggage lock on your purse, put the two zippers together and carry the key so people can't get into your stuff. Have a code on your phone, have a tracking app on your phone, so if someone does take it, you'll be able to track it. With the young people, just be careful. Watch them. Be conscious of what they're doing. Let them know you see what they're doing, so they know that they can't really try it. And if I'm honest with you, the young man that I told you about that I had those 3 situations with, I probably should have told the people that trust him. But my thing was, they seem to trust this individual, and I don't want to get in between that relationship, because what he's doing to me, he may not be doing to them, you know. But I just felt like he wasn't someone I wanted to trust, and he has no obligation to me. So I left that alone, and I'm like, they will find out in time. If they ask me, then I will tell them. But his stuff was indirect, kind of sneaky stuff. The other thing was, we talked about the paperwork. When you go in places, have copies of your stuff, right? So if something is missing, you have it. Do not send money to the continent without knowing for sure. I don't care if it's a family member. Like, I've heard some trifling stuff about folks' families eating up that money. And I mean literally eating up that money, right? Sending money home for projects and people doing other things with it. And these are from my people that are from the continent that share these stories with me. So you want to be careful, and be careful about people offering assistance, because unfortunately, nothing's free, right? I did a video on that too. There's always some kind of price to pay, whether it's, your loyalty, or people expecting something. And so, when we come with that attitude, like Western behavior, people get upset and they go, why you acting like that? And it's because we have come from a place where there are more people like that. On a continent, we're clear. Everybody's not like that. But we come from a place where most people are like that, especially people who don't look like us, right? So when you get that from your own, it's like hurtful. It's hurtful to think that I have to worry about this here too. So I started this off with, I hope I'm not presenting the continent through rose-colored glasses, because I got rose-colored glasses. But I need to let y'all know, yeah, stuff happens. Stuff happens. You just got to be aware, be alert, and be ready. And that doesn't mean you got to be like me. I'll be on high alert, because basically I'm very peaceful on the continent. It's not till something triggers those emotions that I'm like, oh yeah, this is that bullshit. Like I gotta be ready to address it. And I'm quick to address stuff when it happens. I don't like to wait to see what's gonna happen. I want to get into it. Is this what I feel like? Because those little red flags, ancestors, angels, whatever you want to call them, those sensors in your body, in your mind, tell you this situation is not correct, right? And you need to address that. Don't wait to see if it's going to be a bad situation. So just be careful, y'all. It's beautiful. And like I said, you can get so high on the spirit of Mother Africa that you don't really see the negative things that go on because they're nominal, they're minimal, they're not enough to ruin your experience, but they could be if you're not alert, right? Because sometimes you could get real comfortable. Just be aware. Be aware. It doesn't mean that it's any different from any other place, but it offers so many more uh, peaceful, freeing settings than we're used to. And that's why I want to go live there. I could care less about the people who try to get slick. I know how to deal with them. I've been trained to deal with them, right? But that level of freedom is something that I wouldn't give up for the world. So I just want y'all to know, be aware. We know there's slick people. We've had people in relationships steal from us. We've had friends do trifling stuff to us. We've had family members do so why is this any different? You're going home, expect it, and just keep your distance from it if you can, right? Be aware. So I just wanted to leave y'all with that little dosage. This might be one of the longer videos I've done because I want to get this out, and then I don't know that I even want to come back to this again. Like I want to leave it here, right? I'm trying to think if I left it. I leave anything out because, like I said, I don't want to do another video about this. Oh, another one. People with sob stories asking for money. That's another one. I almost forgot. And I remembered that because I remember Amon went into the mall. We went to Pizza Hut or something. And he went to the bathroom and he said some man came up behind him when he left the bathroom talking about, he had been in a bad situation and he needed funds and if he could help him out. And Amon said, I'm looking at him and the man got on clean clothes, don't look like he need nothing. He just probably felt like, you look like a foreigner. I can get some money from you. And Amon just told him no and walked away, right? And aggressive vendors, there are people that can be aggressive about, come on, buy this from me. And they would keep following you. And some people don't like that. I know Mom is very uncomfortable with that. So those was my last two. So be ready. Blessings. We will talk again.